it's been a great collaboration event. Now, we've heard Pa Tumpal give a very comprehensive, but of course many people would find that it's not enough. So I hope you don't mind, we invite you again. But since you've already spoken a little bit, I would like to mix it up a bit now with the industry players, right? So we have from Vale, which is one of the biggest ones, it's mentioned a couple of times, one of the key players within this collaboration between Indonesia and Canada. And Ibu Mili herself, of course, is a business owner doing business in Canada, in Indonesia, and many other countries. So why don't I invite Pak Vinicius to give your thoughts on this coming Indonesia-Canada CEPA. It's already been discussed. It's not just about trade, but also investment. And we hear about investment, we take a look at Vale, and of course, many other companies that we hope to bring to Indonesia. And of course, we would like to have Indonesian companies also investing in Canada. But as a player in the investment sphere, I would like for you to give your thoughts as well.
Good morning, all. Selamat pagi.
Selamat pagi.
First of all, it's an honor for me and for my colleagues from Vale to be here and be invited in such a prestigious event. It's such important milestone for the country of Indonesia and Canada. A bit of me, I'm Vinicius. I work for Vale for 30 years. So it's the only thing I know how to do in my life is to do mining in a responsible way. So I am a Brazilian, but I lived around the world. Last time I counted, I live in 17 different places. So working Vale is very excited. So it's an honor for us, and thanks a lot for this panel, for this discussion. I think it comes in a very good moment. I would say Indonesian Canada CEPA brought a lot in the table to build long partnerships for responsible mining. Yeah. Indonesian, as you all know, I will talk a bit about nickel and critical minerals because this is Vale business. So, as you know, Indonesian right now represents 70% of the total nickel production in the world. And for next year, we forecast 75%. So 7 years ago, Indonesia was less than 20. So Indonesia did a remarkable job by putting enough nickel to the marketing for the EV, for stainless steel to supply elsewhere. But what we see now is that the world doesn't need more nickel. The world needs the right nickel. So why I say this CEPA is coming in a wonderful time for nickel as well, because we all saw last week, Indonesian government implementing another regulation which is good for Indonesia and good for the world, because it will bring more refined nickel downstreaming for the world. For those who didn't know, so the government is giving one step more on the downstreaming. Yeah, just to remember, 10 years ago, Indonesia was an ore exporter, and then Indonesian work with some regulations to push the industry to go more downstreaming. And then we went to midstream, but now with this new regulation, Indonesia will really move to downstreaming. So, in coming back, what I mentioned, Indonesia, the world doesn't need more nickel. The world needs the right nickel, because for the EV industry and all other industry for critical minerals, the name of the game now is ESG, traceability, responsible mining, and so on. So CEPA, as far as I could understand, supports a lot, and CEPA will give a lot of platform for Indonesian to put the right nickel in the world. Yeah, we all know, I think Bapak Tupac mentioned, we all know we have still a long way to go on ESG, but I can say what what happens with Vale. Vale arrived here in Indonesia 60 years ago. Yeah, Vale, for sure, helped by a lot of Canadian engineers who brought knowledge, who brought technology, and right now ESG is in our blood. So I always say to my colleagues in the mining conference, I say ESG doesn't cost millions of dollars. Yeah, will not put Indonesia less competitive in the market. Yeah, ESG is a practice, is looking with different eyes for environmental, for safety, for community, for indigenous, yeah, and so on. A proof of this is that Vale is one of the biggest player in the market. We are lowest risk rating, and we are cost curve. We say we are cash cost curve quartile 1, so very competitive. So the right nickel will go to the marketing. I think CEPA will pave the way to move, yeah, on traceability, on knowledge transfer, on technology development, and good mining practices. And I'm happy to say that Vale, we were the first bridge, yeah, on this connection, and we hope that we can be a platform to be set as a benchmark for all the other players in Indonesia, as we are doing. And now, more than ever, so it's mine ID coming as a shareholder in PT Vale together with Vale Canada. I see we, yeah, contributing a lot for this agreement, and what I would say, I'm really excited to be part of this industry and part of this moment of the Indonesian story. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Pa Vinicius. I'm interested, let me just add one more question about the right nickel, right? So we've seen that in order to get the right nickel, there needs to be some investment, some work done, even collaboration with specific companies or with specific countries. Now, we also see that, for example, the market, right? We see that the nickel production has gone up in the past year, and as you mentioned, Indonesia, whereas previously it was contributing less than 20% of the world market of nickel, is now producing 70%. This also has implications on the world price of nickel, but there's also certain markets, certain world markets of nickel that still needs to be tapped in for Indonesia source nickel, for example, maybe the United States. What's your point of view on this in terms of the right nickel, but also getting into more markets to expand from our traditional nickel markets?
I will not be so technical. Try to explain your good question. Yeah, so everybody who go outside and look for a car, and you may think that you are buying a nickel car, but most of the chemistry in the battery nowadays didn't have nickel. I think some of you know, but some of you didn't know. Yeah. But the only battery that is recyclable is so far the nickel battery. Yeah, the other type of battery, it's not recycled, and 8 years ahead, we are going to have a huge problems. So, but the consumer now, they are looking more in the short term, and nickel, what I always say to my colleagues in Vale and other people, so nickel, 70% of the nickel still go to the stainless steel. So the industry who keep the foundation for nickel is stainless steel, and will be there forever. Stainless steel is used for construction, for car, for everything. EV is a growing industry for nickel, but it still occupy 20-25%. We see EV, nickel playing a very niche market in the EV. I will explain why. So battery now is only account for car. We don't have battery in planes, we don't have battery in vessels, we don't have battery in trucks, and so on. We know the chemistry in the battery. The cheapest one is the battery which didn't have nickel. Yeah, and for us, nickel, cobalt is expensive materials. But in other hands, the only battery that fits to high intensity, what I mean high intensity, you can put a battery and the battery will last long. 1,000 kilometers and how many hours. The only one is the one which have nickel. So I would say that for battery nickel, it's like diesel and gasoline. They will always exist. And naturally, each one will take its own market. Yeah, we see more the cheap battery going for cars. We see the nickel battery going for more high-end applications like robotics, AI, plane, vessel, truck. So, and this is the industry that needs the right nickel. Can you imagine a person who is gonna buy a car, a top-end car, he's gonna pay, I don't know, thousands of dollars. This person is looking for traceability. He wants to know if the car is being done with good mining practice. And Indonesian now coming back to the how we can position ourselves. Yeah, so putting the right nickel in the market, going to US will demand us traceability systems, yeah, will demand us recyclability or circularity. We cannot throw away everything. Yeah, we must be carefully handling all the tailings, all the wasting. So we will go there. I think I like it a lot. Bapak Tupat said, I say we go gradually. First, having this wonderful agreement, giving the platform, the opportunity. Indonesia is full of resources. What we need now is to implement the right systems, implement the right governance, go ahead with the right practice. The government supporting us and with a lot of partnerships, and the companies, the industry should look for these opportunities. And the opportunities, as Greg said, the marketing will only care about who is, if you did this with some human rights violation, you did this responsibly, you did, so everything will be tracked. Yeah, traceability is important. Indonesia now we are in the moment to shift. Nickel should be stopped seen as a dirty nickel and then seen as a nickel which is the right nickel to fit for the world. And we are, as an industry, we are the one who is gonna push for this drive. Yeah.
All right, thank you. That I see that the key concept that we are talking about here is industrial upgrading. We have nickel that was raw, but with added processing, it becomes higher value, but not just processing, but also traceability, compliance to ESG standards, because such high value resource that we have, it can be branded very easily as dirty nickel. Yeah. So I think this agreement that we're having with Canada is also providing us with the opportunity to do industrial upgrading, not just in terms of the Indonesian word is hilirisasi or downstreaming for added value, but also rising up the level in terms of acceptability in the more advanced countries, economically advanced countries. You talked about traceability. Previously, we talked about labeling, Greg mentioned. And I am reminded of this diamond concept from Professor Michael Porter about competitiveness. One of the key factors for a country to become more competitive is that you go into the right demand conditions. And the Canadian market, in terms of their demand standards, is higher than the Indonesian standards. So having Indonesia force ourselves to go into those higher standards will also make us more competitive. And this is, of course, next is a question for Ibu Mili as a business owner, business operator that is doing both activities in Indonesia and Canada. How do you see that happening with the Canada market, Canada standards being higher? Do you think that will be able to help Indonesian businesses like yourself, as well as the small and medium Indonesian companies, to level up, reach that kind of higher standards, becoming more competitive?
Thank you, Pak. Selamat pagi semuanya. Good morning, Pak Tumpal. We have worked very closely in B20. 2022, Kadin was in Ottawa during a heavily COVID era, and we worked together with Pak Dubes, and we were very much indebted and grateful, Pak, for the collaboration. Itu memory until today, a very good memory. Yeah, thank you. And also, I would like to report and share a very good photo. Again, another memory for Kadin. We signed during the CEPA signing. Our chairman, Pak Anin, also signed an MOU between Kadin and Business Council of Canada (BCC). In front of President Prabowo and Prime Minister Mark Carney. So Kadin, Komite Canada, we organize from the drafting of the MOU until the discussion and until the signing. So this is a very happy moment for Kadin, Komite Canada. Aside from this MOU, we also signed another MOU with provincial Saskatchewan province, also in the same year, 2025. So within this year, we signed two very important collaborative framework between Indonesia and Canada. So I call myself maybe a little bit Canadian just because I live 30%, let's say, in Vancouver now, because I have family there, and 70% in Indonesia. But because I live in Vancouver, I know more about how companies, businesses especially in British Columbia province work. They really value compliance, and this is a challenge for Indonesia businesses because we know how to produce very good products, because some of Indonesian products have already entered Canada and are being presented in ITPC, and I can see the quality of Indonesian products in ITPC Vancouver, very, very high level. But then how about the rest of the SMEs? And also, let's say, women-led SMEs. We need to want to be compliant. What is compliant? Now in Canada, they ask for, let's say, again, like what you mentioned, ESG. So they want to know environmental impact of your product, social impact of your product, and also governance of your company. For them, this is very important. And again, you mentioned traceability. They want to know your products. Let's say coffee, where does it come from? Is it from Jambi? If it's mixed, is it from Jambi and Lampung? They want to know betul-betul in detail. They want to know in detail. So they need the ESG reporting, and then traceability, documentation, and also very important is certification. Now in Indonesia, we don't really care about certification, but in Canada, they need that. They want to know. And another thing that I found out in Vancouver, in Costco, Vancouver, and also Walmart, now there is a growing shelf of halal product. So I see this is a key for Indonesian businesses, SMEs. Come on, let's bring more products, halal products to Canada. Now, yes, a lot of people say, Canada, smaller market. Indeed, but Canada is quality driven. It's not quantity driven, it's more quality driven. And more importantly, it is a doorway to USA. Okay, we are talking about our vision now is USA after Trump, of course, yeah. But so let's say 5 years, 1 decade, we can enter USA through Canada if we are already accepted very well as a Canadian accepted products. So this is key, I think, the halal, and then what else? Handicraft. And also another thing that is borderless is, you know what? Our digital economy, creative economy, digital creativity. Indonesians have a lot because we are very creative, especially with digital. What is digital? Digital marketing, branding. And apparently Canadian businesses need that and they value that. And that is borderless. For Indonesia, we can come in, we can go in Canada at any time, given, of course, that we are, again, compliant. So I think next going forward for Indonesian businesses is we must want to be compliant. And here is what Kadin is prepared to do. We will be here for you to give you, because we work closely with Indonesia, Canada Embassy in Indonesia, we will work for you and with you to advise or to share information and dialogues on what it takes to export your products to Canada. One success story again from Kadin that I would like to share is Conimex products. So in 2024, Conimex came to Kadin and they said, we would like to enter Canada market. How can Kadin help? And so we started the dialogue with ITPC Vancouver and also with Conimex. And because maybe they are a larger company, they are willing to be compliant immediately. So they you know, all documentations, the ESG, traceability, everything. Yeah, so within, let's say 8 months, 9 months, they managed to enter one container of all Conimex candies, chocolate, and confectionery into Canada. And starting 2025, they are going to send more products. So I hope I'm here to represent Kadin so that the CEPA has been signed, and also also MOU with BCC and Kadin, and also MOU with Saskatchewan. Now, Saskatchewan is Canada's main producer of agriculture products and potash. So I'm sure there are many things that we can trade there with Saskatchewan, province of Saskatchewan. So please contact Kadin at any time you would like to enter the Canada market. We are here to help you. We are going to have more trade missions to Canada, road shows, and also export information program information. So please come and contact us and let's berdagang more with Canada. Thank you. Terima kasih.
Terima kasih, Ibu Mili. I understand why you spend 30% of your time in Vancouver. I first went there in 2006, fell in love with it directly. So I wish hopefully we can do more of the trade missions there. Yes. But now we go back to Pak Tumpal, Pak DG. I'm sure there are still a lot of other questions from the audience. But let me ask, my personal question. To share a little bit more about the agreement. Let's say, assume I don't know that much about the agreement at all, but I'm interested in agreements, mutual recognition agreements, for example, of standards, of profession. I don't know if professions, services are included, trade in services, or is it just trade in goods? So of course, if it's trade in goods, we need certification of the goods, of the processes. If it's includes also trade and services, then it will also be professional certifications. I wonder if that's included as part of the agreement as well, and if there's any programs for capacity building that is also included in the agreement.
Thank you very much. Of course, this is the bulky tax. It has to be implemented more in details. Like for the specific certifications, we have to work more. As we speak now, there are some areas like in the fishery products, like I mentioned earlier, we can like just copycat, replicate those small medium enterprises exporter that they are doing, like Bumili mentioned, step by step following the certification. And at the beginning, she said to me, she said like, wow, Canada was more difficult than the United States in this process, but at the end it's not. But once you follow step-by-step approach, she was very happy, and it was a very beneficial, good profit, and she feels safe working with Canada. For certain products, even, I stand corrected, we have colleagues from Embassy of Canada here. There are some office in Canada that can help you to work with, even though all the containers come through Vancouver, but at least some trade office of Canada, let's say in Toronto, can help you there. So there are some websites you can check, and I believe colleagues from Canadian Embassy also can help on that if you need it. So it will be easier to go there, that one thing. Let's say certification, whatever, the geological survey in the mining areas. So I happen to accompany Indonesian investors, potential investor, entering, let's say, Manitoba and Saskatchewan. Saskatchewan is as big as Turkey. It's big. And what you see, you can get a lot of a mining industry there, from wheat, from potash, even other agriculture products. On the western side of Saskatchewan, you will find what is called Alberta, oil and gas. It's natural resources for oil and gas. So those areas, what I heard, the feedback that I received from Indonesian potential investors, all those documents are quite clear. It depends on you, which areas that you want to go to Canada. Of course, if you want to study, to see the beauty of Canada, then you will go to Vancouver, right, Toronto. But there are other areas, like our friends from Philippines, they will travel, I can say like uncharted territory. They will go to the territories like Yukon. The Filipinos are brave enough to stay even in Saskatchewan. So these are the areas that you cannot see being advertised in the newspaper, but you can tell they will go there. So I see some young people, if you want to study, you have to enrich to see the possibility you go there. The second point that I would like to make about certification, mostly the communities are helping communities, right? Why India exports to Canada are successful? Because Indian-Canadian communities help them. So I see the linkage between diaspora and small, medium enterprises products. Those who help Indonesian products being sold are Indonesian communities living in Toronto, in Vancouver. So we have some older communities, and just to let you know, for Indonesian Minister of Foreign Affairs, we are thinking to have a more comprehensive strategy on diaspora. This is another side. And hopefully we can do more to bring those people, the diaspora, also working on this engagement, yes. The third point, this is about the culture of Canada. I know you love Netflix. You know, they always, quote unquote, make fun of Canada. They always say, sorry, I'm sorry, oh, sorry. It's like a Spider-Man, like spreading his wing on the skyscrapers of New York, always say sorry. So the United States people, the US friends, always say, Canada always says sorry. It shows only their humbleness. They're humble. Most, not all, of course, but majority of them, they're humble. They are now sad because they are being beaten by LA Dodgers, the Blue Jays, but they are humble. I think it will match with our culture. We are a little bit, you know, we don't want to be seen like dominating the discussions and everything. You have to talk with them. It takes time to understand the culture, but the CEPA will help unlock these barriers, psychological barriers, and we will do our part. Back to the issue of certification, yes, of course, we have to do it now. In many developed countries now, they are not very receptive towards immigrants, of course, right? It's normal. This is the era of us to work, to know in which area that you are doing. And it's not very cumbersome working with Canadians, and they will help you. But the problem is, you have to be very active. Canada will be only working with their own SOP, standard of procedure. Indonesia loves to work beyond that SOP, right? We love to have initiative. You have it, yeah. We are different to be creative. This is our culture. Canada loves to work with quite discipline with their own SOP framework. So let's work on that. And if you can do that, we can amplify through those who already big in business. I also suggested to go to Kadin, who really knows the market very well, especially the west side. And you can do more.
Thank you very much, Dirjen. We just wrap up. Let me just ask one more question to Bumili and then one more question to Pak Tumpal, and then we open it to the audience. Bumili, just now Pak Tumpal mentioned there's a lot of opportunities. And can you give a glimpse of some of those business opportunities being already there in Canada, and also knowing some of the capacities of Indonesian businesses, right? In Kadin, there's big businesses, but also the small and medium businesses, right? So what are some of the opportunities for Indonesian businesses in Canada that are perhaps less obvious, right? So of course, in the presentation by Pak Dirjen, we saw some of the major items that Indonesia is exporting. There's electronics, there's footwear, apparel. But what are the less obvious ones that could possibly be of interest to some of our SMEs?
Terima kasih. I think again the halal products it's very much in demand. As I told you, in Walmart now and in Costco, I see larger and larger shelves of halal products. So please, SMEs, send more of your halal products, of course with halal certification. And what else? I think that's the digital creative. Don't forget about the digital creative branding, digital economy, digital marketing, digital branding, because this can be borderless. In fact, this can be done ASAP immediately without any without having to wait any longer. Yes, but please, SMEs do want to be compliant.
Yeah.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you, Willie. And Pak Tumpal, I'm very happy to say that I'm very happy to hear that you said the Ministry of Foreign Affairs is putting greater interest and effort on in the Indonesian diaspora, right? And I really like to hear that because I was a diaspora myself, 10 years in Singapore. But also, we see that the Indonesian diaspora is actually very small compared to other countries. I think it's only like 3% of Indonesians are actually abroad, whereas the Filipinos, they're like 9 to 10% are abroad. So can you tell us a little bit, sneak peeks? Sneak peeks, of course, but especially those that are related to Canada, because I see that this cultural connection that you made, but like if you say sorry, I often say this to my Indonesian colleagues, right? You don't need to say sorry all the time. You have done no mistake unless you've done a mistake. But it's just that it's a culture. It's what to show that you're being humble, and I'm very quite surprised actually that we have that. Canadians are also like that, right? Not to show you're underwhelming, but you're being humble. Please, the last right.
That's what I love about Canada, very humble, Mr. Gulashu. Maybe because of the weather, they have like a 5 months snowing, so they don't dress up the way like other four-season countries. Like they are very simple, but it's good quality, but with a normal color. Back to the issue of diaspora. Yes, we are thinking to zoom in about what will be the facilities of diaspora. I cannot tell how, but hopefully
at the beginning of next year, it will be announcement made by the foreign minister. What will be the next bold steps that we will do? We have discussions with the immigration office at the vice minister level. So basically, we can see the successful story, like you mentioned, with Indian diaspora and others. So we'd like to reach out to the foreigners who may have relation with Indonesia through blood, through marriage, the second descendant of the original from Indonesia, then we want to make as a part of the foreign policy. Some countries put diaspora is a part of the foreign policy. I wish that my ministry will do that. Why it will relate directly with Canada in our preliminary observation. A lot of Indonesians already becoming Canadian citizens, and they are still like they are coming there educated, highly educated, and of course, in terms of quantity, it's not like as big as South Asian diaspora. But what I heard from governors level in Canada and others, they want to see more Indonesians there. But of course, they have to come through the formal legal process. But at least the existing diaspora, we see are powerful to help for the small medium enterprises to come to the market, and they are working on that. At least in the near future, we can identify the diaspora that can be matched with Kadin and others from there. So, and on the visa side, of course, we have to talk with immigration. As you know, for the ordinary passport already belongs to immigration office. For diplomatic and official passport, of course, belong to us. We have to talk with them, and by giving more facilities to diaspora, we will do. But back to the point about the CEPA. CEPA at the end will help not only trade but also investment. It will bring more freedom of movement of a person in the good way, because people will think more about Canada. Not many nations know about Canada. They know more about the south brother of Canada, the superpower over there. But at least with the 14 million, with the big trade, can you imagine, bigger than the original Commonwealth country in Europe? Canada is bound. So, yes, diaspora, we need support from Kadin. Okay, we hope for diaspora.